All right, let me see. Let me grab a. I can delete this. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna drop in a drummer groove, and I'm gonna just kind of let it inspire a rhythm vibe. So let's see what I get. Do like an R&B groove. Of course, it throws it there. I want it way over here. Hey, Bob. All right. Okay, tempo is 100. All right, so we're going to talk about playing with a drummer here, but we got to get more people online. Sorry I was late. I see 7 of you. Hey, Bradley, what's going on? I don't recognize your name. Are you new? And Jeff. I've seen you before, I think. How's it? Yeah, you're. And then Holly's here. Hey, good morning, Holly. And Bruce is here. Is that a Taylor 12-string? Oh, in D standard. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I can't tell you, especially when I was a kid, how my second guitar was a K 12-string. Such a bad guitar, it almost made me quit playing guitar. Yeah, it was awful and so hard to play. But when I was 11 years old, I was a big John Denver fan, and he played 12-string, so I needed to play 12-string. Hey, Jamie. Good morning. Yeah, this Squire, yeah, this has been heard all over the world. I like the out of phase like vibes. My good Strat just sounds too big. I like this thin kind of nasty sound it gets. Yeah, I haven't modified this at all. The only thing I did was I took off the knob, on the volume knob, because what would happen when because this guitar is so great for that 80s percolating thing. That kind of vibe. But I would be hitting my pinky on the volume knob, and I would be slowly tuning my guitar down, and it was like, what? That's just like, so on my main, particularly live strats, I tend to take the volume knob off, and that's the only customization. I did finally clean the fretboard on this. Paul Davids did a video about this guitar. I don't know if you know who Paul Davids is, but you can look me up. Enter Strahle and Paul Davids, and you'll find a video about this guitar. It's kind of always out. I don't even have a case for it, so it's just always out, ready to grab. So, yep, it's just an affinity. I mean, I paid $99 for this thing at Guitar Center, and it was used. It wasn't new at the time. It was used. So let's see, we got Bruce, Bob, Holly, and we're just missing Dennis. It's dinner time where Dennis is. I don't see Dennis yet, but I want to talk about listening to a drummer. Probably should change the name of this lesson. Yeah, it still applies to Let's Groove. So I don't really need to. But I can solo the different instruments here on the hat's pretty quiet. I think I can solo the different instruments. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to probably do it this way. Let me do software, slow jam drum kit, slow jam. Okay. Then I drag this down to the MIDI. It's twice as loud. But there it is there. Okay. Now the click. The drummer is the click. Okay, so when I pull up this, there's I can see the MIDI, okay, and I can see the different instruments here. I can grab a screenshot of this. Hold on, so you can see what's going on. All right. Oh, that's right. Sorry, that doesn't work that way. I have to go to the desktop and find it. Go. All right. So this is what's going on here. If you look at the left, all right, you can see hi-hat closed. See, there's a bunch of notes on there. Those are 16th notes right there. I should have spread this out a little further, but those are 16th notes. You got the snare there. It says snare side stick. And this is just the groove that when you drop in Logic, you drop in R&B. This is the first groove that comes up. No alterations at all. And I can make subtle alterations to this, and we can. It's amazing. It's great for this kind of like coming up with songs and writing and things like that. Just a starting point for inspiration or whatever. But you can see there's also a hi-hat foot closed down at the bottom, really quiet. I'm not even sure why that's there. Probably in case you hit an open, but there is no open hat. But that would close the hat if you hit an open on the and a 4 or on 4 or something like that. You can see the snare hits. You can't really see where 1, 2, 3, and 4 is, but there's. Oh no, those are just 8th notes. Sorry. Let's listen to the groove here. Hold on. There is a hi-hat. You see the open. Boom, 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 boom. Hear that kick? It may sound kind of thin on your end because I'm rolling off some of the low end, just so we don't get distortion. And he's side sticking. And the side stick is on just solid tune 4. 1, 2, 3. So there's nothing really to play with there. The kick is something we might emphasize. The hi-hat, let me solo the hi-hat and try to turn it up. Let me make this a lot smaller. But there's some of the same information here on this little diagram here, on this little screenshot of the MIDI that we have down here on the music. Okay, I need to just have a little pointer icon that I can move around because you can't see my cursor, but you can see this moving this around. So it's like that's where my cursor is right now. But I can read that. Like for me, I can look at a MIDI roll like that and go, oh, that's the groove. So I can see that because I create a lot of that stuff all the time. All right, so let me see if I can solo the hi-hat. I'm going to mute. So I click on that, hit M, and that mutes it. Click on the kick, hit that, mute it. The hi-hat thing. Okay. Oh, there is an open hi-hat here. I'll leave that. Okay. Now, I'm going to probably have to really turn up for you to be able to hear this. There you go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and see that? 8th notes. Now, I'd still probably play 16ths, because here's why. Because the kick, let me put this back, barely hear it. Although, you know what, to be honest, I can turn the hi-hat up. You can see how the color is on this? So, red is the loudest. You can see the snare hits are like orange. But look at all the hi-hat hits. They're all kind of in the green colors and light blue and a little bit of yellow there. So that's velocity. And so I can turn the velocity up. Just click on that row and then turn velocity up. And I can get a little bit more hi-hat in the mix. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my side stick and unmute that, and go back to the kick and unmute that. Boom, boom. So that kick, other than that, so that first bump, that one there, bump, bump. That kick right there is on the, I always, one E and the 2 E and of 2. All right, so that's a 16th note right there. So with the hi-hats playing 8, and I usually say, listen to what the drummer is doing on the right hand. And if there's some subdivision like a 16th in there at all, then you're fine with 16ths. If it's a total 8th note driving thing and there's no 16ths, then you're probably looking at it like a rock kind of vibe. Oh, interesting. John, yeah, using the, oh, you're using the, DuckDuckGo has their own browser. I'm using, so to host this, I generally use Safari, I'm a Mac guy, but to host this, I have to use Chrome, because Safari wasn't working for us. So I use Chrome, and now I'm using OBS as the video. This allows me to create, put stuff in the window and mess with you and cover my face and all that kind of stuff. So, because there's a kick on 16th note, then I think we can totally. There is another kick in there too. Let's see. We got to turn off this. Where was it? Right here. Boom, 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 ba-bam. That kind of on the E of 4, right after the snare hit, there's a kick. So that's kind of cool too. And so between the kick drum is actually telling us that you can do a 16th note vibe over this. So over this group, you can just mute the strings, okay? But I'm going to basically squeeze, create a chord. I'm going to kind of match the kick. It seems like the most, to me, that's the first place I would go rhythmically. Again, we're just saying this is kind of an R&B song in E. Kind of like knock on wood or something. My hands aren't doing what I'm telling them to do right now. Okay, so now I'm going to delete this. Okay, this is going bye-bye, and I go back to the original groove. This is the same exact groove in. If I double click, there we go. Okay, so this is a groove called New Soul. And there's an XY thing, so the things are loud, soft, simple, complex. And so I can go in a million different directions there. I've got several hi-hat patterns to choose from. Let's see. Here's number 3. That one's number 2. So here's, let me go to, okay, so here's kick pattern. For this, it's called New Soul. I can show you, I'll do a screenshot of this too. It's called Drummer. There's something like this in GarageBand, so if you have that, and I'm sure there's similar softwares for PC and everything. So, but GarageBand has similar things to this. But you can see the XY thing. It's kind of over here in the soft, but I mean more in the loud and simple corner than it is anywhere else. And see, I got hi-hat set on number 1 and kick and snare set on number 1. This is a really cool thing too, and there's a little swing to it. You can see the swing is just a percentage, a little up. There's a follow button there. If you can see, it says follow there at the bottom right. That means you can make it follow a track. So if you've got a track that already is grooving, or you do a rhythm track, then you can have the kick and snare kind of follow that. All right. Let me maybe track something and we can see what happens there. Hold on. I can even play bad on purpose and it'll have to follow me. All right, so this is what I'm working with here. Oops, I'm moving the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of play sloppy over this just for fun. All right. Okay, so I just created a track that was really sloppy and not very good. Like intentionally out of time. Okay, so let's see if it can follow that. All right. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to hit that follow button. And that track is called Just Clean. So I have to go up here and find Just Clean somewhere around here. I got so many tracks on this. This is just something I created for our live stream. So watch me not follow. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Oh no. All right, now I'm going to pull up the MIDI on this and let's see what it. Oh wait, I got to drop the MIDI down. Oh no. Okay, that quantized it. It shouldn't be quantized, I don't think. Let me go mute. Yeah, it didn't quite follow like I thought it was going to. Let's see. Probably smart of it not to follow. Wait, let me just make sure it's set to that. I may have not. Yeah, I got it set to follow that. That's funny. Yeah, it didn't follow, which is a good thing. So I'm going to delete that because it's kind of pissing me off. I don't like the sound of that. All right, so that experiment failed miserably. All right, but let's listen. So this is the groove that I set everything to 1-1, right? I mean, yes. So if you look here, the hi-hat is 1, the kick is 1, the kick and snare pattern is 1. So it's basically in this sound, and you can see here, like all the beat presets on the left there. In New Soul, this is probably the most basic sound. And I got no fills. There's still some syncopation on the kick. I like the fact that it's not just the same pattern over and over again, so it doesn't sound like a loop. And what's happening here is we have 8 bars, just so you know. It's an 8-bar phrase. Ah, a little 16th note there. Another one. Okay, so that tells me that that tells me that I can do 16th notes. And I really like that voicing. John, I see your, let's see, how do you keep time with that kind of rhythm? Seeing it, let's see, seeing it too fast and a lot going on, but easily fall behind in your timing. That's a problem I always have, falling behind in time. Part of it's just concentration, I think, listening. Like I said, usually if I'm on stage with a drummer and I can do my own mix, I'm usually going to turn the hi-hat up pretty loud. So right now, the hi-hat on this isn't very loud. But I can go to the drum kit, click on the hi-hat. Oh, I don't want to tune it up. I want to gain it up. Now you should hear it better, right? I mean, I have to gain it 12 all the way up, plus 12. So that just subdivides. You can tap your foot too, you know, it's just like, it's kind of a whole body thing, the time. You say you fall behind, that's unusual. Most guitar players, they kind of get a little excited and rush and get ahead of everybody. That'd be like, hey Richard, what's going on? Yeah, put you, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so now let me just pull up a different groove. So you can see again, here's, where is it? This. On the left-hand side, I got, you know, Common Cause, Baby Grand, Block Party, Flow, Neo Soul, Old School, Quiet Storm, Slow Dancing. Let's go with Block Party. Let's see what that sounds like. See if that's any fun. Okay, so I'm going to click on the drums. And I'm going to, oh wait, I have to go here to that window. I'm going to hit, what did I say, Block Party? Okay, now this one just loaded. It was already on, oh, I'm going to turn that off. Okay. It was already loaded in drum pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kick and snare. The cymbals, it's not playing hi-hat, it's clicked on cymbals. You can change it to cymbals. And there's a little percussion, a shaker in there. I'm going to turn that off just so we don't have that to deal with. I'm going to turn the fills off. It's swinging. So this is going to be more of an R&B vibe. I haven't heard it yet, but you hear that that crash? Okay, let me turn the cymbals up. Oh, this one here. No. There's a lot going on there. Let me show you that 9th chord too. All right, so we've been playing this 9th chord. This is a nice one. It's very R&B sounding. It's kind of a little, maybe a little hard to grab, but it's kind of fun. And I'm playing just the top 4 strings. So this is also E9. And whatever note your pinky's on, that's what chord it is. So if you play it here, it's B9, C9, C sharp 9. So it's kind of easy to find that way. So it's E9. And it's XX, and then I'm playing 12. Wait, let me put a space here between all of these. XX, 12, 11, 9, 12. All right, I kind of have to put spaces so you don't think it's all 1s and 2s. All right, so that, and we have, this is the 7th, so that's a D note, that's the 7th of an E9. Here's the 9th, the F sharp, here's the 3rd, the G sharp, and here's the root. No 5th in here, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. We just have 1, 3, 7, 9. You don't need the 5. 5 is unnecessary. If you need to start eliminating notes in a chord because you have too many notes, for guitar players especially, 5 is the first thing you can get rid of. Then you can get rid of the root, believe it or not. In fact, the root I have is way up here. So the bass player is going to handle the root. So you don't even need to have a root. I could just go. In fact, if I play these 3 notes, what would that be? That's it. Yeah. It's kind of a cool chord too. And there's no root in that. But that would also be kind of a 9th chord. So, all right. So let's see. So if I were playing over this, you know, it just depends. I mean, I definitely hear it. It sounds like old school R&B, so you almost feel like you get away with a kind of a 2 and 4 kind of vibe. But then there's a snare. So on the other pattern, see if it just loads here, Neo Soul, I followed the kick. Bump, bump, bump. So I squeezed on this one. Okay, but when I went to Block Party, and let me get rid of the fills and the percussion. I went more, I'm squeezing on the snare. Wow. So it's not really any of these patterns here. It's a little bit more, a little less squeezes, less hits per bar. I'm really pretty much just hitting, excuse me, on 2 and 4, and then on the of 2, 1 E and a 2 E and right there. So it is still a 16th note feel. That's why I keep my hand going. And John, that's one of the things you want to do. So like you could just do this, okay? You want to get your right hand going in tempo. You don't want to think about what it's doing. See, what's probably happening is once you start going, then you think, oh, if I'm going to do that pattern, you're only going to move your arm, your right hand, when you're hitting that. And now there's no way you're going to be able to keep track of the groove and the beat and the feel. You got to keep the right hand moving, even if you're not hitting strings. Like I'll just do this: 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Thanks, John. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. You know, it's about getting to that locked in with the drummer and then staying there. And I totally understand falling behind or getting ahead, or, you know, like I said, I generally, if I'm going to do anything, I'm probably going to play on the top of the beat. In fact, a lot of times what I'll do is when I'm doing like any kind of R&B or funk thing in my studio, I will play, and when I listen back, I think, okay, why am I ahead? I know it felt great when I was playing it, and then when I play it back in my head. Now there's a thing with studio recording where there's latency issues, and you're hearing things different. You know, like the drums might be you're not hearing them exactly when they're playing, and then when you play to them, and then you listen to your recording, you're like, wait. I've done a test with Alex. I've said, Alex, I'm playing a groove here. Check this out. And he goes, it's perfect. And then I hit play to play what I just recorded. He goes, yeah, it's off. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take that file, okay, and if I move it to the left, it's going to be ahead. If I move it to the right, it's going to be a little behind. So I'll take that file and maybe go 10 or 20 milliseconds. I have a button I can push. If I hit it twice, it goes 20 milliseconds to the right. And then I listen to it and I go, okay, now it's laying in the pocket. So there may be like this 20 millisecond latency thing that oftentimes I'm dealing with in Logic. I can adjust the latency on it, but I don't want to get too what's it called now? I can't think of the term for it. I'm sure somebody here knows it. Get back to work, John. Pull those teeth. Yeah, and again, I prefer to practice to a drum beat rather than just a click. I mean, if I'm doing some classical stuff or something like that, obviously I'm gonna maybe use a click if I'm doing arpeggios. But if I'm working on the samba stuff, I want to put on a samba groove to strum to. It just makes more sense. So, all right. So, is this E9 a third inversion since the D is in? Yes, that would be a third inversion, 100%. Yeah. In fact, so is this. Third versions are named in such a manner that just makes no sense, okay? If you don't know what an inversion is, I'm going to just completely confuse you and think you don't want to ever learn music theory. But root inversions with the roots in the bass. Hey, that makes sense. First inversions with the third in the bass. Second inversions with the fifth in the bass. And third inversions with the seventh in the bass. And technically, you can have fourth inversion with the ninth in the bass. Yeah. So, but the reason for that is because the order of your notes when you're creating chords is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And so if it's based on this, it's the root, and this is the first, and then third, and or second, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth inversion technically. We could do it with sixth inversion E chord, which would be the 13th. Let's see, so maybe so. That could be a E13 6th inversion. You know, I'm not trying to confuse you. It's just the way it was designed. So it's not like tennis. You know, the Royals created tennis and they made the scoring weird so that the simpletons like me couldn't get it. You know, like love is 0. That should be the best thing. And then, you know, 15, then 30, then 40. What the heck? And so they were trying to not get the sport to spread. Curious, is there any distinction, not that I know of, when the third and fourth are inverted? In fact, I've got plans to do an exercise. I wonder if I could make it a YouTube short, but I want to take the seventh chords and then move the fifth around like that. It's a good exercise. It's a musical exercise. You know, I like musical exercises. Exercises that are like, oh wait, I could actually use that. I'm not just learning a dexterity exercise. I'm actually learning a musical device at the same time. So I, hold on a second. So, oh. And let's see. All right. Oh, okay. Well, I was told it was because the kings and queens didn't want the peasants playing tennis. But regardless, I got to get out and play some tennis. Speaking of, I told Alex that I'd try to get there Wednesday. Now, so I'm going to take this groove now. Let's see, we did Block Party. Let's do Baby Grand, see what that sounds like. Hear that kick? Kicks, a little fun on that. Now the XY thing, it's kind of, so on the XY thing on this groove, it's called Baby Grand, so it's the top one there. It's kind of it's right below the word loud and then down a little bit. So it's above the 50%. But about in the middle of, so I'd say 75% loud and right at 50% simple complex. And and then it's hi-hat. Well, it doesn't matter what groove. So now if I go all the way to the far right with a hi-hat, typically that's going to be a 16th note. So I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, so I'm gonna, I can make it louder here. Hear that? So that's a very busy, and the snare is basically 2 and 4, but every now and then a little bit of a little extra ghosty thing. Okay, so that's that one. Let's see, let me pull up another one. Let's see, any suggestions? Let's see, old school. Old school is going to be pretty obvious. I can change drummers too. So there's different drummers for this. Old school is going to be Ride. Let's go to Quiet Storm. Yeah, Common Cause. It's kind of nice. A little more rocky. Big solid snare hit. How would I play over that? I mean, of course, it depends on what's going on musically, but let's say it's an E, like a E7 to A7 jam, like a. See, that kick is really telling me something. So I think that bump, bump. I like that bump, 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 bump. Pretty minimalistic, but it's. And I'm just playing 2 notes now. I'm just playing the 3rd and the 7th of the E7. Okay, and then I'm playing the 7th and the 3rd of the A7. So you can apply knock on wood with just those 2 chords, two note chords. And of course, a lot of it depends on what the bass player is doing too. I mean, I could throw a bass player in here. But bump. That's kind of the vibe, the bump, bump. Like if I were to do like a rock thing to this, not that you would necessarily play a rock beat to it, but it would be like. You might do something like that. So, yeah. So it's listen to the drummer is kind of the key as far as knowing what to do now. Because I can teach you all these grooves, and if they don't work with the other musicians, what's the point? So you need to learn to listen to other players. That's why I thought it'd be cool to pull up the drummer. It's called drummer software. It comes with Logic. Very similar thing in GarageBand, which is free with all Macs. In fact, it comes on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, you have GarageBand, I think. Although I may have taken it off of here, but let's see if I have it in here. Let's see. Oh no, it's here. And it automatically loads sideways. Continue. No, I don't want to go there. Okay, I just want to go. I don't want to go to Drive. I'll just go to GarageBand. Was it asking me to open something? I don't really have anything to open. No. Weird. Well, that's not working. I've never used GarageBand on my phone. Let me try that again. Oh, I see, there it is. Okay, create song. Guitar song. World. drummer. That's what I want. See, there's drummer right there. Swipe to the left twice, and get drummer. Okay, acoustic drums. All right, and then so look, well, here it is, half pipe. That's basically the exact same thing I just showed you. It's on your phone. People have been telling me this probably right here, and I haven't been really paying attention. But if I hit, can I hit play? Oh yeah, play right there. And I can set the tempo. That's what I would practice to for some stuff rather than a click, especially with grooving or writing if you're trying to come up with song ideas. And I got a little mixer here. I can hit that and probably adjust the volume of things. I can go in and edit. All right, let's see. Let's click on the name. Crash the party. More tom driven. And you know, drummer has, oh, that's Kyle. That's his name. Totally sounds like a Kyle. But we have Kyle, we have Logan, we have Darcy and Mason. So let's oh, Logan's going to be heavy metal. No, it's more kind of rock. Okay. Anyway, that's a, you know, if you're looking for something to practice with, like I said, I prefer to play with a drummer. I didn't see any R&B patterns out there, but I'm sure you could download them. It's had a little button there lit up red saying, you know, download more drummers. So, yeah, she's the hippie looking dude, exactly. It's funny because Apple in Logic, like the drummer, this drummer is Rose. And so if I click on if I load drummer and I say songwriter, it automatically loads a girl drummer. I just think it's funny. And then the R&B is automatically girl drummer. Now, I don't think there's any girl drummers in the rock. Let me see. We got Kyle, Logan, Anders, Max is the punk rock drummer. Jesse is funk rock. Now, see, that might be a cool vibe. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to change drummer. Now, don't think I'm opposed to female drummer. My first band, Diane Steinmetz was a drummer. She was insane. And she had a giant drum kit. She had one of those. She had like all of these toms and everything. But she could seriously play. She's a great player. I mean, I don't care what you are or who you are. If you're a good player and you have a groove, it doesn't matter. You know, none of that. That's the beauty of music. Is like when you're playing in a band, you're just all on the same goal as to make the best music you can make, and it doesn't really matter race and sex or any of that stuff, religion. None of that stuff really comes into play. Maybe religion if you're playing at church, and that's a different thing. So this is what drummer is this now? Jesse, funk rock, and this is called Broken Glass. Also at 100 BPM. Yeah, so I could see playing this groove right down here over that. This one right here. Yeah, that's a great feel. And I have the fills are up pretty high too. It's funny because if I turn the fills up all the way, it's kind of the drummer you don't want to play with because he's too busy. In fact, that fill was like, what? I'm going to make the hi-hat really busy too. And I'm going to go to the busiest drum. Woo. This snare pattern, what the heck? Bow, 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 bow. I got everything kind of maxed out here. Put hand claps in there too. Why? It's funny. You can go pretty crazy with the program and come up with, okay, you're fired. That's what I would call that groove. Like they all have names over here on the left. You know, broken glass, crowd control, lights out. I would call this one "You're Fired." It's like, okay, I'm not gonna play with that band. All right, I'll take a break here. Tired. Woke up hard this morning. It was like, oh, I didn't want to get out of bed. And I was a little late, but that was because nature called. About 5 to 9 o'clock my time, I'm like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. TMI, but it was like, so, yeah, I keep coming up with ideas for YouTube videos, and I don't, it's like, oh, I got to sit down and do it. One, I'm going to try to come up with 10 events in my life or things or choices in my life that that affected my career. I guess I'm trying to think of the best way to say that. None of the titles I've come up with this video sound very enticing. But Beato did something similar recently, and it's like, yeah, that's something I can share that's, and there'd be some pictures and stuff like that. I mean, obviously the first thing is my dad, so, you know, there'll be a picture of me and my dad, but maybe, you know, I can post some pictures of me and my band. And, you know, my band in Indiana. So I'll probably do a video of that where I just talk about, so it might be 20 minutes long. I don't know how, it depends on how long each section takes me to explain it. It may only be 5 minutes long. I'm not sure. But that to me seems like, because there are people like want to know how do you, you know, how do I do what you do? And it's like, yeah, everybody's path is different. See, if I wanted to be a dentist, John Y is a dentist. I go to dental school. I go to get my. I don't know if you have to go to med school, but you go to you know, it's a process. You got to go to college. You got to, you know, study and all that stuff. And Beth is home today, by the way, so she's around here somewhere. And it's a it's a pretty much given that you're going to become a dentist. But there is no similar path for art. My sister's a college professor. She's taught at Rhode Island School of Design for at least 35 years. Gosh, she's been teaching it forever. And so it's not, yeah, exactly. That's a good title. That's not a bad 10 choices. The 10 choices that made my biggest impact on my career in music. Thank you, Holly. Let me see can I copy that? How do I copy that? Okay, I just texted to myself. Copy. All right. So, and like I said, I mean, I try to make it entertaining anyway, even if you're not like aspiring to be a professional musician. But it is interesting to me sometimes the the little decisions you make that have big repercussions, or not. That repercussions sound like a negative term to me, but a great effect on something. So that to me is kind of interesting. Hey, Yaks. See, you can just type it, Bruce. I have to say it. I don't know. Yak. Yak just sounds like a negative, a derogatory term. I don't want to be mean, yak, but or yak. Yak sounds better. Yak. Yeah, yak is an animal. Let's see. Yeah. And then I want to do some exercises, like I said, some dexterity exercises for your left hand that give you some finger independence, but that are kind of musical devices that you might actually use. To me, that feels like almost a better way to, better way to practice something. So, something you're going to actually use. I mean, there's times where I warm up like, I haven't done it in a while. We did this. Didn't we used to do this to start out our lessons? If you go to my playlist, go to exercises, this one's in there. This is let's see, index, middle, let's see, what's it? I am a P, yeah, P, I'm trying to think what, A, that's not, it doesn't seem right. Anyway, it's 1 4 3 4 2 4 3 4. Oh, that's because you don't refer to those as it's the right hand you refer to. That's what PMI. P is thumb, index, middle, A. There's no, I don't know what the pinky's called. There's a name for it, but I can't think of it. So 1 4 3 4 2 4 3 4 1 4 3 4, and it's just a great little exercise. Drop D. I didn't know. Hey, everybody, take a sip. I didn't know I was in a tuning. And I changed guitars. So that's 2 sips. Sorry, this book. I'm not recommending this book. In fact, I anti-recommend it. What's this? No, this I need. That I've got to record as soon as we're done. I have been insanely busy. And it's fun. I love being busy. I love what I do. And it wasn't that long ago that, again, kind of talking about get back to the career thing. It wasn't that long ago. I wasn't working at all, really. I mean, I was teaching guitar lessons and I was leading worship at churches and kind of doing a session here or there, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 a month. But not doing what I'm doing now, which is pretty much working every day. A lot of guitar players complain, older guys complain about how it's not like it used to be, and I'm like, thank God. But for them, they used to, there was a time where my friend Joe, he was doing 3-a-days. That means you were doing 3-hour sessions every day. You know what that kind of money they were making? Carol Kay joked that she made more money than the president of the United States, which she didn't think was right. She wasn't saying that was a good thing. I don't think she wanted a pay cut. I think she thought the president should make more money. The 3-a-day thing, it was pretty crazy back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s. And my friend Joe kind of got started in the 70s. He wasn't technically a member of the Wrecking Crew. He was kind of like the son of the Wrecking Crew kind of group, the next generation kind of thing. And there was a lot of burnout in that industry. So a lot of musicians burned out. A lot of musicians transitioned. A lot of guitar players transitioned out of studio work. And I don't know how much of that was because they started to see that they were falling out of favor, and they decided that they would start their own career, like Larry Carlton, Lee Ritenour, Robin Ford. All of them were session players, particularly on records. All of them did a lot of records. Ritenour did more TV shows. Carlton did TV shows. Remember, like Hill Street Blues? That's Larry Carlton, I think, on Hill Street Blues, on some of that. He did some Mike Post. I think is that Larry Carlton on one of, I don't, I want to look it up. I don't want to misstate facts here. It's real easy to do. But on Rockford Files, what a great theme that is. I love that theme. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, Dan Ferguson. Okay. Played lead guitar in Dobro. The guitarists who played on the theme song for Rockford Files were Dan Ferguson and Stephen Geyer. I don't know Stephen Geyer. Dan Ferguson, I don't even know, but... But one of the things I've been working on, and I'm just about done, but it's why the oud is out, that's why the lute is out. Well, the lute's put away now. Working on they're retooling and redoing everything for the Great American Passion Play. It's not in Branson, Missouri, it's in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, which is south of Branson. Apparently it's a big deal. The stage is like 2 acres. The stage is 2 acres. I think it's a 4,000 seat amphitheater, and they're just totally doing a whole remake. Oh, you know what? I can't have that window open because it's too bright. Okay, there we go. So I've been playing a lot of Middle Eastern instruments on that. I did some Arabic bouzouki. I did oud. I was playing lute, mostly strumming lute. It actually worked really well. He wanted kind of like a loose string nylon. Like a nylon guitar would sound, if I was strumming it, would sound too flamenco or too samba-ish or rumba-ish or something. And a lute sounds more medieval, which is still 1,200 years after Christ, so it's a little bit, but it actually worked. It worked for the thing because the voicings, the orchestra, it's full orchestra. Orchestra is already recorded. In fact, the composer is saying, "I wish I knew you a year ago because I would have had you involved from the beginning on this." But it's because he goes, "Oh man, I would have written so much more for the oud and for the bouzouki now that I know." But he was really, really great to work for. Really appreciate him, and I love that kind of stuff. And so I think probably Beth and I are going to fly out to see it when it reboots next year in May. My daughter lives out that way, so it'll be kind of a two purpose visit. And then let's see what else. I've been working on a game. I actually wrote a jingle, national jingle spot. Of course, those things, jingles are one of, and that's a 100% new thing for me. I've never done that before. I worked for the couple different composers in this jingle house, and they liked what I did on those parts, and so they asked me if I would be interested in writing something for a commercial. And that one, but the thing about jingles is basically you got a lot of people writing for the spot, and then that goes to the jingle house, and then the jingle house decides which ones are the best, and they're going to send to the ad agency, and then the ad agency picks the best from all the jingle houses, and then they send it to the company, and then the marketing department. I mean, I may have told this story before, but I remember working for my friend Jasper Randall. Love that guy, and he's not really composing anymore, which is a bummer because I worked on everything he did. He was one of the first composers I ever worked for. It was the first time I ever got a BMI, like a money-making BMI credit too, was with him. And he got called to do a not a soup plantation. What's the Italian one? I know you know it. We used to go there all the time. Oh, come on. What's the Italian chain. I can't think of it. I think they still exist. Oh yeah, I know they exist. And in fact, last time I went to one, it was so crowded. It just was so like popular. Dang, what do I want? I know you know. Somebody's saying it and driving, probably like you're yelling it at the screen right now. See, it wouldn't be in the category of best Italian restaurants in Los Angeles. It just is a Italian restaurant. Dang it. Oof. Man, there's a lot of Italian restaurants near me. And maybe it did go belly up. I mean, not that it's particularly... Oh my God. What the heck? Oh, I know where it is. It's out here. There's one in like Monrovia. That's the one. Last time I went, it was there. Let's see if it's... Olive Garden, for crying out loud. You're all screaming that, aren't you, at the screen? Oh, very cool. You portrayed Judas. 6ix9ine, that doesn't surprise me. I'm just kidding. That's amazing. That's a great role, actually. That's a big role. Yeah, it would be hard to play Jesus in the Passion Play. That would be a hard job. I mean, what was that like? So Olive Garden, you knew what it was, weren't you? It was an Olive Garden ad. Okay, so Jasper lived about 20 minutes from me. All right, he lived at the time he lived in Sylmar. I was in Pasadena, so he wanted me to play on this demo for Olive Garden. He needed some mandolin. So okay, he goes, I'll pay you $50. I'm like, okay. So typical session for me. And but if it went and they took our version, then I would get. I mean, the union rate for jingles is pretty low. Now that I'm saying it, I'm going to look it up because if I write a jingle, I'm not going to be put on as a session player for a jingle. That won't happen. Let's see, website, FM, departments, member resources, news about content. No, member resources. It's such an old website. Pay dues. No, I don't owe any dues. Really, no. Why the heck do they put the departments? All forms and scales. Okay, here's forms. Okay. Forms, motion picture, jingles, commercials. Okay. All right, let's see what the scale is for jingle. Okay, so generally, it's a jingle is always going to be. They're going to say, "Oh, it's a 1 hour session," because it doesn't take very long. Copyists, reuse. Oh, side musician, no doubles, $133. Okay, for an hour. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but you're packing your car full of gear. You could be driving an hour each way to the session. If you do a double, which means play a second instrument, which often I do. It's another 30%, so that's $172. If I do two doubles, that's 45% up. It's $192. Three doubles up 60%. That's $212. If I'm the leader. You automatically get paid for all the doubles, and that would be twice the 133, so it'd be $266 for an hour. Okay, that's fine. It's for the reason of jingles is the reuse fee, and they will do a 13-month or 13-week, 8-week. You'll get these weird checks in the mail for reuse on these things. So they're kind of, but I've never really done a lot of jingles. But anyway, so I drive up to Jasper's house. to do this, and I play mandolin. I think I played some nylon guitar and mandolin on it. All right, and then he mixes it. He's got these great string libraries, so it sounded like an orchestra. I don't know if they would have ultimately re-recorded it with a real orchestra or not, probably, but I don't know. I go home. Okay. The next day he calls me. Hey, can you come over? They want to make some changes. They and the people he's dealing with is the Jingle House. So he's writing a little 60, probably 30-second. It's like a 30-second ad, and I saw that you can see the ad. They send you the ad, so you know where to do stuff. It's you don't want to necessarily Mickey Mouse it too much. If the guy's throwing pasta in there, you don't want to like a harp going, or whatever, a pizza in the air or whatever. And so he has me come back, pays me another $50 to do some changes on it. And I'm like 2 days later, said, and again, he's just dealing with the Jingle House. He gets it to that point, and a third time, I go up a third time, another $50. So now at $150, but driving up there 20 minutes each way, usually at night. This is late at night, and I've already made more than I would make if when they pay the union rate. So, and so then he says the Jingle House finally submitted his version, along with a couple other writers, to the ad agency, right? And then the ad agency, then they have notes, right? So then they send it back to that Jingle House and they say, oh yeah, we like this, but we want this to happen more, like have the flurry happen a little sooner. And so Jasper has me come back down. Now I've gone down to this is the fourth time I've gone down to his house. And so we, maybe do a little flurry on the mandolin, to get into that moment, and then, okay, and I go home, and all of these sessions are like, I'm going up there, and we're done in less than an hour, probably 15, 20 minutes, we're done. And it's like, okay, but we, I love going to hang out because we're really good friends, and we might like actually get a cigar and smoke a cigar afterwards or something, but he's like kind of got to finish this and pitch it, so probably not. If I remember those sessions, probably I'm just sitting there just to hang with him, and then, or taking off and getting out of his hair. And so I think then the ad agency again said, okay, we're almost there. We want one more revision. So I go up a fifth time. Now the ad agency sends it to the marketing department of Olive Garden, right? And they have notes. So those come down to so I've been there 5 days. Now it's a sixth time I'm going up there, right? And we get it, and it's the Jingle House likes it. The ad agency likes it. The marketing department likes it. Now they've got like the 3 best, and they want to play it for the president of Olive Garden. All right. And so they got these three things. And I talked to Jasper, like he was playing at church that weekend. I said, so whatever happened? And he goes, so they played our version, his version for the president of the company. And the video was something about sending their chefs to Italy to go to school. And there's this moment where there's a bed of pasta, and this chicken parmesan plops on top of the pasta and everything like that. And that was when the big flurry happens, and we land, and this orchestra makes this big dramatic thing because it's the chefs have gone to Italy, and it sounds like Italy. That's why I was playing mandolin. And the president, after they played Jasper's version of the jingle, he said, it's just a piece of chicken. They way oversold the chicken, and so we didn't end up getting it. I ended up making, I get like $300 for driving up to his house 6 times. And that's that's a big chunk of my early session career, was doing things like that. But we see each other. We're like, in fact, I'm going to text him that right now just to mess with him. I haven't thought about that story in a long time. I'll put it in quotes. Oops. So yeah, so that's just like, yeah, it's story time. I that's just one of those, we're one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, it's the it's the too many cooks kind of thing. I mean, obviously you can't go, because it, like, there's a jingle house, they may have, gosh, a jingle house could have 20 riders on a jingle, but probably, but because this is a national spot, and it would have, could have potentially aired for months if not years. I've only done a couple jingles in my life that actually got on air, and one of them was a Dell or a computer, IBM, I think, or something like that. And it aired for a while, so I got a couple checks in the mail for like $97 or something a couple times. I'm like, oh, cool, these unexpected. But I actually ended up having to drive down to San Diego to do the session because that's where the the jingle house was, or something, and so it was kind of not, ultimately not worth it. Although I did get leader rate, so. Not, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Olive Garden was one of those places Beth and I went to probably right around that, in the early 90s, late 80s, when it was like we could just go get the soup and salad and the unlimited breadsticks, and that would be dinner. It was cheap, and unlimited Diet Coke. But yeah, that should be their slogan. It's just a piece of chicken. Eat more pasta. Yeah, I don't even know that I've ever had chicken. Well, yeah, I don't know if I've had chicken parmesan. I did have chicken parmesan at a very nice Italian restaurant in New York in July. It was very good. Chicken parm. But Beth makes a good chicken parm. So, $97 feeds you for 6 months. Well, that's great, Wendy. I could spend $97 on one dinner here in Los Angeles. It's getting crazy. Um, but there's yeah, so there's so that but I did this jingle. I thought it sounded great, but it was my first time. I don't really know their system, how they work. We'll see. I think they'll like what I did, because one of the things about doing demos for jingles, and is you got all these composers that are trying to get this work, and I'm sure some of them have much better studio gear than I have, like speakers and stuff, and they're much better at mixing. I actually had Alex help me mix this, and I told him I'll give him a percentage of the fee if I get it, which is unlikely. But they had me writing a certain style that no one else was writing. So if they like it and they submit it and the company likes it, but again, it's got to go through a lot of hoops. And like I said, it could come back, and they said that they could have 120 days of rewrites. So you could literally be working rewrites on it for 120 days. Now, I told them not to give me the demo fee because I did not. It was the first time I was working with them, and I was an unknown entity. And I also felt like that gave me maybe a little bit more power to kind of say no on stuff. Whereas if you take the money, you've got to constantly do revisions, because that's my recollection of jingle writing for jingles, was Jasper's experience with Olive Garden. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't want to be doing that many rewrites. I mean, it's one thing if they give you a demo fee every time you do a redo or a rewrite. But even the demo fee, I mean, for the time I spent writing this, if I get the gig, it's worth it. But for the demo fee, it wasn't really worth it. The demo fee wasn't enough to make me justify. But yeah, Holly or Wendy, how do you eat for? How would you eat for 6 months on $97? I mean, I know I could eat beans and rice a lot, and water. But yeah, And if you know how to make bread, I mean, you know, you can bake bread. All you need is some flour and eggs and things like that. Oh, nice. Yeah, the thing I want to do, the video I want to do on the exercise, I've kind of written the script for it almost, but um, the um, uh, the idea is to give you some finger independence. I do have an exercise for stretching your fingers. Um, I don't know if I've ever done it here, but you can start with like a C major 7 chord. And literally, I have Color My World. Right? That's 10th fret, 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret. Then what you can do is move your first finger down a fret, and then move your second finger down a fret, then move your third finger down a fret, and then your pinky. And if you start up high, it's a little bit, obviously it's a lot easier. And from a music theory standpoint, this is C major 7, C7, C7 flat 5, C minor 7 flat 5. And then you go to B major 7, and then B7, B7 flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5, B flat major 7, B flat 7, B flat 7 flat 5, B flat minor 7 flat 5, and so on and so forth. There's A major 7. And obviously down here, it's going to be the hardest. The idea is just to kind of spread those fingers out a little bit and kind of, you know, if you can do it, you don't have to roll your right hand. You can just do, you know. You take your hand away and just kind of rub it a little bit, especially in here. It feels like that feels good to me to kind of give it a little massage after you do those kind of stretches. Yeah, I never eat breakfast, or hardly ever eat breakfast. Sunday mornings I'll eat breakfast. Yeah, in fact, it's funny because on that Olive Garden ad, I probably took all of Jasper's, all of his demo fee was probably paid to me. He probably got like $300 to demo that thing, and you know, he spent days on it. And the fact that I never got called to do another one doesn't mean that he didn't like my playing. It means that he was like, okay, that's it, I'm done. And it's hard because you know the Jingle House is dealing with an ad agency. I think sometimes the ad agencies have in-house Jingle Houses. A lot of times they do. Maybe the big ones all do. And then but it's rare that a corporation would have in the marketing department their own ad agency. They usually use an ad agency to buy ads because the ad agency has the relationships with all the networks and the cable companies and with YouTube and with Google and with everybody that they're going to need to buy ad time with. So that's what ad agencies do. So I mean, it makes sense that ad agencies would have Jingle Houses, but it doesn't make sense that a marketing department of a corporation would have a Jingle House, you know? So it's just natural that it's going to have to go through a lot of people. In fact, I haven't heard from them at all. I sent it last night. The deadline was 2 o'clock today. But they said, send works in progress 24 hours before 2 o'clock. Well, I never did a work in progress. I just did the work. And so probably didn't follow their standard operating procedure. But I just felt like, you know what, I kind of know what this is gonna, I would just want to give them like my best shot. And at the very least, like I said, they heard what I could do, and it could lead to a lot of, again, it was kind of, I may not end up writing jingles, but definitely they've got a lot of writers in their jingle house, and if I end up working for all of them and getting a lot of shots on commercials and getting paid a demo fee plus, because they have to pay me to play on it. I won't do it for spec. It doesn't make any sense. And then if the jingle gets chosen, then I get paid again to do from the, and it's union, and then it has the back end potential and all that stuff. I mean, my friend Carl, he would play on a lot of jingles, and Carver Hyan, and he said he would get, like, he did an Albertsons ad, and he was getting like, $130 checks, like he was getting 10 a month or something like that. So he was making a lot of money off of one jingle. I'm not sure, and I'm not even sure how that works. Why? He said they kept renewing in different markets. Like they only paid for it to be in one market, but then they chose to use that jingle in all the markets, and so he got paid for all of those markets, and it was staggering and all this stuff. So it's, yeah, that's the only time I've ever heard where it really gets that good. I think if I were to play on 5 jingles a week that got on air, then to have all that revenue, 13 weeks from now I get another set. It's definitely better if you're an actor. Actors get paid really well for jingles, or not jingles, for ads, and so. But more and more of them are non-union, which means there's no back end. In fact, most jingles are non-union, and it's only the union ones that have the residuals. But if it's non-union, it pays better for the work done. So that's kind of how it generally goes. Right. Well, that's true. Breakfast is, yeah, exactly. And so breakfast is the first meal of any day. That's right. You're right, Wendy. It's true. And I try to go. Let's see. When did I eat last night? Probably 9 o'clock. Pretty late. So it's 10:30 here. So I've gone 13 and a half hours. I try to go 16 hours. If I can consistently go 18 hours, I'll lose weight. So if I can go 18 hours between my last meal and my first meal, which if it's 8, that means I can't eat until 3 this afternoon, which is a long time. But at 3, no, if I stopped eating at 9 last night, then that means 3 p.m., right? So for an 18-hour fast. So, but if I consistently do that, I lose weight. But that's super duper hard to be consistent. For one thing, if I've got some major work I got to do, sometimes I'm just like, okay, today I'm getting breakfast because I don't know when I'm going to get lunch, or today I get breakfast because I need the energy my brain has to be super duper focused, and so I was doing some reading, some really hard banjo stuff recently, and I got to eat something because my brain isn't going to work unless I do. So that's. What's our groove? What's the groove here? Oh, this is funk rock. Oh, that's right. This is the super duper busy one. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the fills. I'm going to go to the hi-hat in one. I'm going to go here. I'm going to move. I like the volume, but we'll see. I'm going to get rid of swing. That's very R&B kind of. That sounds like this. What's that? Who is that? I'm so glad. I can't remember them. Da ba 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 da 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 ba. Hey, hard to handle. That's the song I'm thinking of exactly. Hey, mama, so hard to handle now. The way he says that is like mumble. It's almost like mumble rock. It's funny because I have a song that I wrote with Skrillex and Young Lean, and Young Lean is a Swedish mumble rapper. It's called Lips. So if you pull up, that's me on guitar. I wrote that, kind of the foundation of the song, Lips by Young. I think this is how you spell it, Young Lean. So I'm gonna take off. Man, we're starting to peak again. That's weird. Okay, we went down to 29, and now we're back up. But my wife is home today, and I want to spend some time with her. And I got to do some work later this afternoon. So we'll talk. I'll see you next Monday, and Bruce, we'll talk soon. I think we're good. Hopefully there's something here you can work with. Like I said, if you have an iPhone, you already have GarageBand, and there's a drummer on there. So use that to kind of mess around with, all right? And that, I think, will help you groove and come up with ideas for rhythm. I think you let the drummer tell you how to play, okay? Oh, thanks for the hearts. I see the hearts. All right. God bless you all. Bye-bye.